What is the best smell in the world? Fresh baked bread. Freshly baked from the oven. A bonfire on a freezing cold night. Victory. Jasmine. My grandma's garage. I'm 36, she's still around and you enter her house through the garage where the washer and dryer are. Smells so good. Like a mix of laundry detergent with a safe place love. My parents split young, very nasty divorce, and I spent lots of time there growing up. Edit. Thank you so much for the award. Wanted to add that she lives across the country from me now unfortunately, but I recently got a whiff of grandma's house while visiting a friend's house and man did it make me homesick. She's spunky, a great cook, and full of love, the epitome of a grandma, and I pray everyone experiences that kind of love. Now I'm rambling, but next week she and my grandpa will celebrate their 66th wedding anniversary. What was the dumbest way you got hurt? I'm clumsy but probably tripping over a raised footpath brick. Dislocated my elbow. Someone asking me for a face pic on a dating app and me sending one and then getting blocked. Stapled my hand to a notebook. Stabbed my hand trying to pry a brownie out of a pan. Struck the bone. I was 28 and didn't use non-stick spray. Tripped on my own shoelaces and sprained my wrist falling down. Dumbest incident report I've ever had to fill out. When I was 13, I found a golf ball while I was taking a walk. I wanted to try to break it. So I took the golf ball and threw it as hard as I could at the ground. It ended up bouncing back and hitting me in the eye. I kept the golf ball as a souvenir. Stepping off a bus into a snowbank, sprained my ankle in 2 directions. When did you officially know you were not young anymore? When the hangover after a weekend of partying went from lasting 1 day to 5 days. 2 or 3 years ago I was either 30 or 31. I had stepped over a baby gate and pulled a muscle in my lower back, making grunting noises when getting up or down. When my parents passed and I realized that I was now in the oldest generation in my family. When the music I listened to as a teen ended up on the classic rock station. When I had to explain to my sweet Gen Z assistant what AOL and a dial-up modem was. She was mystified. Also when she referred to management as her dad's music, the sweetest kid and so funny and smart, I just felt like a fossil and I'm in my mid-late 30s. When people start calling you sir, I hate that shit. When things young people do and say start to make you roll your eyes, or cringe, you might say, have you ever held a grudge against a teacher you still think of today? How did they wrong you? A teacher in university accused me of plagiarism and said she spent the whole night trying to find out what I plagiarized, but because she couldn't prove it she wasn't gonna report it to the school. I wrote it myself. We were about 6 years old and the teacher told us to make Father's Day cards. I went up to the teacher to tell her my dad was dead. She snapped at me, do it anyway. So I was made to sit in class making Father's Day cards to my dead father. Ha. I was in 4th grade and was enduring a lot of abuse at home. I wasn't the most hygienic, so my hair was frizzy, and I didn't wear underwear because if my parts weren't hanging out, I just didn't see a need. It was tight and uncomfortable. My teacher and her assistant were behind me one day during a test and started talking bad about me and giggling, making sure they were the perfect distance away from me to very audibly hear them. Saying I never brushed my hair or showered, and I was dirty. As someone already being psychologically abused by my parents at the time, it definitely took a major toll on me. As an adult, I cannot imagine how anyone could act like that with a child. I cannot imagine the depths of sadness and insecurity for an adult in her 40s could belittle a child who had little control over what was going on with her life. It's disgusting. People who used to be obese and lost weight, what was the most significant change in your life? I lost 271 pounds. Peep my post history. I thought that I would be more dateable. What I noticed was I was respected more. It fucks with you hardcore knowing that people treat the obese quite differently than normal-sized folk. I lost about 150 pounds 12 years ago. I've kept it off. I'd say the most significant change is that I'm not in pain every minute of every day. I was an obese child and lost a lot of weight in my teens. Biggest change was being able to buy clothes and not being limited to just 1 or 2 of the largest items in the store. I lost 200 pounds. The most important change was all the energy that I once had in my teens and 20s returned. I still run 10 miles on the weekdays because I have so much energy to burn. The last thing you purchased just grew 10 times in size. How screwed are you? I don't know how much trouble I'd be in. I ate the chocolate bar a while ago. 650 liters of gas? I'll take it. That's a lot of sushi. Come on over. I'm not, because FedEx delivered it to the wrong fucking house. My t-shirt will become a tablecloth. Hot damn, I'm going to have a really big mattress. It'll fill my entire apartment. Last thing I bought was fast food. So you know that scene from Family Guy where Peter ate a year's worth of dehydrated meals and then ballooned up after drinking a glass of water and yelled at everyone to get out because he needed to poo? No thanks. I don't need a bigger bra. Does this mean I get puppy 10 times the normal size? Or do I get 10 more puppies? What are acceptable lies you can tell to your kids? These are spicy, You won't like them. We were told that car wouldn't start until all seatbelts were plugged in. That goddamn elf on a shelf. New parents don't fall into that trap. It's a 30-night a year commitment for 8 or 10 years. Remembering to move it every night to a different spot. For a solid month. For 10 years. Just don't do it. My son used to only eat pink Key West shrimp. He wouldn't eat any other shrimp. Then one day he started asking if these were the shrimp he liked. I had cooked Gulf shrimp, and that's when the lies started. Netflix has to charge, let's watch something else. When I was 3 I was told that eating the crusts of my sandwiches would enhance my toe wiggling abilities. So I ate my whole sandwich and then sat on the couch and wiggled my toes. End result: fully nourished kid. If I had kids I'd borrow that lie for sure. What are you addicted to right now? Picking my skin. It's a nervous habit and frankly I'm at a point in my life where I'm always nervous. I've always dealt with acne and bumps and stuff and so I always pick at them. It's never been quite this bad though. I've got 4 or 5 wounds on my arm that haven't healed after 3 months because I can't stop popping every joint in my body every hour. I'm scrolling it right now. Ice cream sandwiches. Haven't had one in about 5 years. Bought one last weekend. Since then I have eaten about 24 in a week. Now I remember why I stopped buying. My phone. Whether it's Reddit, email that I hardly get, or fucking Facebook, I check the damn thing all the time. Food. I just can't stop eating shit food. What is incorrectly perceived as a sign of intelligence? Wealth. Silence. I've been told so many times that I'm thoughtful and a deep thinker but really I can't figure out what to say lol. As someone who's been in academia and the field of medicine research for many years, I promise you, despite what people who aren't really in these spaces might think, it isn't exactly crawling with geniuses. Now there are a few gifted people to be sure but 99 it's perfectly average people who just showed up and did the work. It's more commitment than intelligence. As long as you don't have an actual severe learning disability and have access to the correct resources, this is a big one, and put in the effort, you can do it too. Also, don't ever assume that just because someone is incredibly knowledgeable at one thing that it will carry over broadly to other things. Some of the most successful people have incredibly narrow, focused specialized knowledge. If an orthopedic surgeon tries to talk to you about infectious disease, take it with a grain of salt. If an astronaut tries to talk to you about the economy, take it with a grain of salt. What is something you hate to see being romanticized? Relationships with clear problems shown as passionate. So much of this passion is terrible emotional management and terrible communicative skills bordering on or actual abuse. Family bloggers exploiting their children for views. The mob. They fucked my city growing up. Mental illness. Abusive relationships are sometimes romanticized and, having been in one, I find it repulsive. Cartels and drug dealers. Alcoholism. It can be terrifying for every party involved. It almost destroyed my family. Hustle culture. No, Haley, you're not better than me because you haven't slept in 3 years. Gang thug lifestyle. If you're born into it, raised by the streets, props to you for living this long. Hope you make it out one day. If you're not, don't. Just don't. F off or end up as another chalk line on the pavement.